So today's day is more about understanding the successful businesses we have made. Yesterday is more about the macro picture. Today we are really focusing on the enterprises, making sure that we understand the story, the successes. So in that line, the reason we are promoting this is to make sure that there are more and more enterprises coming forward to support GMG. So the next in line, I would like to invite CRO, Mr. Lalit Shinde of SECEON. Yes, sir.
Slides लावणार का? By the time the slides come, let me just quickly tell you that माझं पण शालेय शिक्षण हे डोंबिवलीमध्ये झालं होतं. वडील फार लहानपणीच वारल्यामुळे आईच्या कष्टाने घरगुती कामाने इकडे तिकडे करून आमचं शिक्षण झालं होतं. आणि नशिबाने वीरमाता जिजाबाई टेक्निकल इन्स्टिट्यूट VZTI मध्ये कशी तरी ॲडमिशन मिळाली आणि तिथून पुढे पुन्हा नशिबाने साथ देऊन इकडे आलो अमेरिकेत. आणि अमेरिकेतच आईला पण घेऊन आलो. शेवटची 20 वर्ष तिने अमेरिकेमध्ये काढली इंडियन सिटीजन राहूनच. त्यामुळे आय एम जस्ट गोइंग टू क्विकली टॉक अबाउट SECEON, the company that we started almost 10 years back. But before that, I had already part of the 2 different successful startups that were sold. And the second startup that was sold was to Juniper Networks. And in Juniper Networks is where I got some of these ideas, and I had done some entrepreneurship as well, small product launches through different business units and growing their revenue from 0 to a few hundred millions in that range. So when we came up with this idea of artificial intelligence-based cybersecurity, it was sort of a little bit novel at that time. It is not at all novel right now. Everybody is talking about artificial intelligence and its applications in so many different ways. Definitely cybersecurity can benefit a lot from that. So next slide. I'm going to pretty much give our vision, how we thought through. And a lot of this came when I was at Juniper probably 13, 14 years back. And some of the co-founders, they also come with different backgrounds. Some are data scientists, some are fast big data technology experts, like Elastic, Cassandra, and whatnot. Some are experts just in pure cybersecurity, and I was more expert into network cybersecurity and how to make it through software-defined networking. But this vision came that if we have to protect an enterprise, what it takes. And we started with just let's take a house, right? Next slide, please. So the first thing that we think about is protecting the door, right? Having better locks, better digital biometrics, whatever, so that nobody can enter except you, right? But then, the next slide. You think about what about windows, right? You start putting sensors and other things, even glass break technologies and whatnot. Next slide. You put, then what about this, monitoring surroundings and so on. You put cameras, indoor, outdoor, everywhere. It has become a common nowadays. Next slide. But even after that, you start thinking that, the roof is still accessible. What about somebody, digging a tunnel and coming through that? Now, of course, the cyber hacker has to be a lot more sophisticated and so on to do that. But when you talk about protecting a premium things like, White House or Buckingham Palace and so on, people can do that, right? So you start thinking about that and how do you protect and so on. So next slide. So we came up with an idea of you got to have a 360-degree dome that can watch anything and everything, right? anything and everything that comes from outside to inside and inside to outside. And that has to be 360 degree, right? It could be from anywhere in the world. Now, of course, how do you do that, right? And this was in terms of the cyber side of the things. Next slide. And even after doing that, we thought, even then, sometimes people can come inside appearing very legitimate, right? And that's, of course, we know that identity and so on are the most important thing, but they get breached. Even multi-factor authentication breached multiple times. Impersonation happens, and when they come in, the only thing to sort of determine this is predictive analytics, machine learning, behavioral science, using a lot of those techniques, right, that have been there. And we were almost, talking about, yes, that is what we need in order to come up with something that can solve that. And also our goal was, we have to solve that in such a way that it's not just a very high, costly solution that can be afforded only with large Fortune 500, but every business, every small, medium business that is out there. Next slide. Slightly cybersecurity technical heavy, so just bear with me. But there is a framework that some of the cybersecurity experts can talk about in a lot more detail than me. It's called defense in depth layered approach. That's what we looked at. Of course, NIST framework, Ashwini talked about as well, and several others touched upon it during our panel discussion as well. So we looked at, we had quite a few experts and knowledge about that, but when we looked at how it is implemented, the defense in depth, it is implemented usually using 30, 40 different tools, and it requires an army of SOC analysts or army of engineers that are constantly overlooking. And as Ashwini pointed out in our keynote yesterday, that there is a constantly cat and mouse game of red team and blue team that keeps on happening. So few things that we realized is, first of all, it's very costly approach, cannot be afforded by small, medium businesses. Second thing is, even for large enterprises, even Fortune 500, we have seen, at the time we had talked with Apple, Facebook, a lot of the large service providers, and so on. We realized that even some banks, BNY and whatnot, we realized that the cost of integration and challenges within that and the human involvement makes it reactive rather than proactive approach, because you have to, we humans are very experts and smart, but no matter what, we take our time to analyze before we make the decision. We don't make the decision just like that. Just give the data and we'll make the decision. That doesn't happen. We take our expert time to take that decision. And that expert time delay of an hour, 2 hours, a day could be make or break for many, many organizations. We realized that. We evaluated a lot of the data breaches constantly and looked through that. A lot of that already went into that to evaluate and figure out how do we understand and make it better? Even for, even today morning I was telling a lot of the people that I was looking at the news, and the first news that flashed across was Biden and administration is still trying to figure out the Chinese malware that affected our military. So it's not an easy problem to solve, right? And in spite of having a lot of the tools and so on, it's not an easy problem to solve. So next slide. So our vision was, we have to break it down into two different domains. One is the basic hygiene that most of the people should have, and this is kind of coming to the locks and sensors and so on, so that you at least follow certain basic hygiene to make sure a lot of the cybersecurity hygiene is in place. But then we came up with this continuous cybersecurity monitoring, detection and response, CMDS as we called it at that time, domain, that sort of takes into account the complex nature of the organization today, and this is a reality almost in most of the organization, that today's organization, your assets are all over the place, not just, this is the company, this is the on-prem, we have these many servers and these many network devices and laptops and so on. It's not just that. Oh, we use these cloud applications, we have some servers in the cloud, we provide some cloud-based services and whatnot. So it is becoming more and more complex, and with the pandemic, almost everybody got pushed into, yes, we work a lot more remotely. We work from anywhere and everywhere. A lot of the sales guys like me, we are always on the road, and we work from wherever it is. It could be Starbucks, it could be somebody else's office, it could be somebody's home, and whatnot, right? So how do you look at all that and still understand that, yes, the login that is coming from Lalit is still Lalit? And that is the most important aspect of determining this in that complex environment. And the box in the middle is what we design. That is where a lot of our research and development and a lot of our initial patents went in. Next slide. So what we this is sort of again another dumbed down slide to show you sort of a marketing view of the simplified view of the things, that we try to build a platform that we call, using machine learning, artificial intelligence, a lot of the predictive analytics, and automation. I was actually, in Juniper, I was a guru of the automation, and that's how it got pushed into how can we automate a lot of the SOC operations. That way, when things are shown to the SOC, they can instantaneously take decision, or they can just say that, hey platform, you take the decision automatically. Actually, we had called at that time auto response, and in 2016, when I was talking to a lot of the cybersecurity gurus or CISOs and experts, they were telling me, no, don't take any automated action. I don't want to trust any platform. And I could understand, it takes time to build that. But these days, almost every CISO and CIO tells me that this sort of, that revolution happened 2-3 years back, that take the action automatically. Our team will figure out if you have to undo anything or if you have to change anything, but take the action automatically so that attack is stopped. That is the first and foremost thing. In real time, stop the attack. That is the first and foremost. So a lot of those innovation happened as a part of that, but the most important thing was, it was adding that artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities into our platform and predicting, is this a real employee doing the job, or is this a cyber hacker or criminal that is appearing like that employee and trying to do some harm to the company? And that was one of the biggest thing that we tried to handle with this. Next slide. And as I said, our goal was make it affordable, make it accessible to every small, medium business as much as even the large company. And it is not easy to understand, we talked about a lot of large numbers yesterday, right? How much the cyber attack damages cost, as well as how much the cybersecurity spend has been going on and increasing. Our goal was make it such that when a small, medium business says, hey, I can afford only $1,000 a month, can it be made possible? Yes, it can be made possible. And we came up with an architecture, a service provider phenomena behind it to make that happen. And that is cutting the cost, as well as trying to find almost 99.9% of the real attacks and stopping those. That was our focus. And we stayed focused on that. And as we did that, I can tell you that as an entrepreneur, almost everybody must have said this 1,000 times, that the first 3 years of my life was hell. And it was just like yesterday, sleeping at midnight, getting up at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock and start the day again. Thinking about which doors I'm going to knock, who am I going to talk. You knock thousands of doors to find that one door that opens up for you, right? So it was hell. But come 4th year, we became cash flow positive. and the life was absolutely amazing after that. Next slide, please. We now employ about 125 employees. 70 of those are in India. The rest are worldwide. Almost 35 of us are here in US, quite a few in Europe and all over the world. We have more than 7,000 plus customers now globally, and 450 plus billion flows or events per day that we sort of process every day in order to constantly fine tune and help various organizations to determine what is real attack versus what is not. And the key thing is in the middle slide, if you look at, that's where a lot of our technology sort of helps. When we look at an organization view, even though it processes billions of different telemetry data, it's actually giving them a one or two or not even that much real attack situations or things to look at. And that is the efficiency that we build in. So when a small medium business says, hey, we don't have time to look at this, sure, you don't have to look at this. There is a lot more that the platform can automate and do it itself. And that's where the AI applications and things should go, that it's a complex problem. But dumb it down, make it as easy to use, make it as simpler to make sure that the people can use it and afford it very easily. And that's how the success comes yours. And that's our story of SECEON. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you, Garje Marathi. I'm one of the part of that, but couldn't be more proud. Yesterday when I went to sleep at midnight, it was feeling like what an awesome day. Let's make that happen today as well. And thank you. And this is just the beginning. A lot of the great things are ahead of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lalit. I think SECEON has been initial sponsors for us, which made it possible for us to take some quick decisions. So thank you again, and being a key part of our core committee as well. So now